This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Okay, so the truth is I'm terrified of singing. I could perform or give a speech to 1,000 people, but I really don't like singing in public. And I was trying to think of a way to start my show. And I was really thinking it out, and then one night, I had this dream that that's how I started my show. But of course in the dream I was wearing an incredibly elegant gown and I could sing like Aretha Franklin. And so I woke up and I thought that was a nice dream. But then this little whisper in my heart said, do it. And it got louder. Do it. Start your show that way. Okay, if you're an artist, you know what I'm talking about, this whisper. It's that annoying one that always wants you to take risks. So anyway, I said whisper, no thank you. There are 2 reasons I will not begin my show that way. The first is that I'm afraid to sing in public, and the second is that I can't sing like Aretha Franklin. But then I realized that if I'm ever going to sing in public, now's the time, because it's not like I had to audition for this role, you know what I'm saying? And nobody can really fire me. So that was the compromise, and now the show has begun. I'm glad you're all here. I'm going to record it, if that's okay. I just want the video for posterity's sake. But don't worry, you all look great if you get caught on camera. Well, I guess let's start by me telling you a story. I do as many medical studies as I can. Because I have this disease that people really like to try to cure, and medical studies pay pretty well, and I'm in grad school. So, as part of the medical study that I'm doing now, I go in once a month to the doctor's office and I get my lung function measured and blood drawn, and then I get an EKG. Now, I wear dresses pretty much every day. I mean, it's just one item, and you don't have to match it with anything else, except maybe tights in the wintertime. And they do something really lovely when I go like this. So dresses, in my opinion, are great for everything except getting an EKG. Because when you get an EKG, they have to put these little sensors everywhere, and when you're wearing a dress, they either have to like come down from the top or like up from the bottom. Anyway, the other day, I was at the doctor, and I forgot to wear pants. And so I was sitting in the doctor's office with my nurse, and I said, I really hope it's not me when I'm doing my EKG. And she said, it never is. And then, of course, in walks Mr. Handsome EKG nurse himself, right on cue, and he calls my name, and off we go. Now, we were in New Jersey, and he looked Italian, so I'm going to safely assume that he was Catholic. Now, he started with the sensors that go on my ankles. So I pulled up my leggings, and I was wearing my Our Lady of Guadalupe socks that I got for Christmas. And then he started telling me about the reindeer socks that he got for Christmas. And we were having this nice little conversation, and then the higher up on my body he had to go with the sensors, the more religious articles he discovered, like my miraculous medal and my crucifix and my scapular. And the more nervous he got, right, like his hands started shaking and he was looking everywhere else except at me, and I was very nervous, and I was just praying, oh God, please don't let him ask what I do for a living, because, well, I'm a chastity speaker, and I would probably rather die under any other circumstance than let a man who wasn't my husband unbutton my dress. But there we were. And then finally, thank God, it was over. He took the sensors off, and I buttoned my dress back up as fast as I could. And I was pulling my leggings down over my socks, and he stopped me, and he goes, no! Let Mary be seen! Catholics. That guy was cute. And here's the thing about me and cute boys, is that for the last 4 years, I've been pretty sure that I'm called to be a nun, right? Which makes my relationship with cute boys just a little bit complicated. I mean, I haven't dated in 4 years because why would I? I've been dating Jesus. People ask me why I want to be a nun. And the answer to me is really simple. I'm in love with Jesus. And I want to spend the rest of my life with him. It's a pretty normal human thing, I think. But lately, I've been writing him letters. This man that I might have married. I've been writing letters to this man that I don't know. And they, at first it was just to say goodbye. To say like, thank you for existing. I'm sure whoever you are, you're wonderful, but God has other plans for me. And all things considered, he's probably doing you a favor. Well, anyway, I've brought them. I've brought them today, my letters. Would you like to hear one? I won't sing again. Dear future husband, there are 2 reasons I might not marry you. Is that an intimidating way to start a letter? I think that's an intimidating way to start a letter. Let me try again. Dear future husband. Dear future husband. So, if I don't become a nun, you're going to exist, right? Because girls who don't become nuns generally get married. So, that's nice. See, I can't even have a conversation with him when he's not there. I feel like my calling is pretty clear. My poor mother, she wants him to exist so bad because she just wants grandchildren. But if there's a him, that would make my mother a grandmother, right? Because, well, we're Catholic. I mean, I haven't met him yet, but I'm assuming that he's Catholic. Not because I only date Catholics necessarily, but because who would want to date me if they weren't Catholic? I mean, I love being Catholic. I hope that if the day ever came, that I'd be willing to lay down my life for the church. And shouldn't we agree on stuff that we're willing to die for? Oh yeah, and death. I'm gonna die young. You know, I have this feeling that I might not. That I spend all this time worrying about my health, that one day I'll wake up and realize that I have managed to live well into my 90s with my cats and my 20 children. I'm not saying we have to have 20, but at least a few would be nice. I mean, for Catholics, the first 2 are basically practiced anyway. Right, my sickness. Why I'm gonna die young. I have cystic fibrosis. It's this lung and digestive disorder that's caused by too much salt in my body, which makes all sorts of things complicated. Like, I can't breathe very well, and I can't digest any of my food. Statistically speaking, if I'm going with the average life expectancy of people with CF, which is varied, I have 15 years left. Hence my saying, I'm going to die in the middle of my marriage, leaving my poor husband with lots of little kids to raise all by himself, which, by the way, if that happens, I want you to call Leslie. I mean, if we're at the point where you're watching this video, you'll definitely know who Leslie is by then, and she's the best, and she'll know what to do. You know, I wonder what would be harder on me, marrying a non-Catholic or marrying a smoker. I think marrying a non-Catholic, but it's a really close call. Dear future husband, I know we haven't met yet, but I already know your name. Maybe that sounds weird, but I do. I I know your name, it's this whisper in my heart. And anytime I meet a boy who has your name, I get super nervous. And anytime I meet a cute boy who doesn't have your name, I brainstorm all these ways that he might have your name, like it's his middle name, or his last name, or his confirmation name, or it's like a version of your name, but in a different language. Okay, I know you, the audience, is like dying to know what my husband's name is, but I can't tell you. I can give you a clue. It's the name of an early Christian martyr, which, for the non-Christians in the audience, is like maybe not a clue. For the Christians in the audience, you're like, yeah, Kathleen, what early Christians weren't martyred? That's not good. Okay, I really want to tell you what it is because I'm not known for my secret-keeping ability. But I can't tell you, and here's why. Because what if it's the name of some guy here, right? And then he spends the rest of the show totally freaked out, thinking like, oh God, now this crazy girl thinks I have to marry her because she had this weird prophecy, and like, Mom, why couldn't you have named me something boring and unchristian like Wayne? Can I tell you, I hate the name Wayne. I have since the 3rd grade. When I heard about Wayne Gretzky, I thought, wow, he sounds like a great hockey player. But what a terrible name. I have this secret fear that my husband's name will be the name that I think it is, this name that I know in my heart, and then his last name will be Wayne, and I'll have to become Kathleen Wayne. I have this other secret fear that I'll meet and fall in love with a wonderful man whose name has nothing to do with this name that I think I know, and I'll have checked all the avenues. And then one day, after we're married, we'll be watching this video, and he'll be like, so honey, what was that name that you got in? And I'll have to lie and say it is whatever his name is. Because obviously I'm not going to not date someone just because he doesn't have this name. I mean, that would be so Cecily of me. Oh, sorry. Do you trust me? My name is Kathleen Michelle Burke. My confirmation name is Teresa. Kathleen Michelle is my baptism name, and Burke is my maiden name. A lot of people think that my middle name is Cole, but it's not. Cole is my mother's maiden name, and it's something that I added to my name professionally as a way to honor her. But it's one of those ways that I know if somebody knows me really well, if they know that my real middle name is Michelle. I would like to change my name to yours when we get married. The phrase maiden name means something to me because it's true. I am a maiden. When I was 11, I promised Jesus that I would remain a maiden until marriage, and I have. And I will. What's the guy word for maiden? Anyway, I hope he is one. Okay, see, this is the kind of thing that he'll either totally love or it'll send him running for the hills. Lord help me. This is how this next letter starts. Dear future husband, I shaved my head once when I was 18. And I did it as a way to thank God for letting me live to adulthood. See, I sort of think that my hair is the prettiest thing about me. It's long and blonde and curly. And when I was thinking of something to give to God, to say thank you for letting me live, I wanted to give him the best thing that I had. And when I was 18, the best and most precious thing that I had was my hair. So I cut it all off, like in The Gift of the Magi. Has anyone read that story? It's my favorite story. You should totally read it. But instead of selling my hair for his watch chain, I gave it to Lots of Love, to other sick kids who have it worse than I do, and who might not live to see 18 like I did. Not being able to have hair when that was down, when it was shaved, was really awful for me, and I felt ugly a lot of the time. And so that was great, because I learned something new about beauty. I planned it out to shave it at midnight on my 18th birthday. The last thing I did with my minutes as a child was make my bed. And the first thing I did as an adult at midnight on July 3rd, 2008 was kneel and say an Our Father, and then walk into my bathroom and shave my head and marry God. That was the other part of it. I had this idea that I wanted to marry God, and my hair was sort of like a dowry. But here's the weird thing. Like one of those things that I get stuck on, you know, when I'm thinking about my potential future calling, is that that's what nuns do. You know, I did this before I had really even come back to the Catholic Church at all, and definitely before I knew anything about nuns. But when nuns marry God, like become nuns, they kneel. And they're in church. They say an Our Father. And then somebody cuts their hair and they get a veil. I mean, all I was missing was the veil. And they did that before I even knew that that's what nuns do. Right? I really don't want to shave it again. I really, really like having long hair. And it looked ridiculous while I was growing up. Right, dear future husband, here are some things I want you to know about me. My favorite color is light blue, and also pink and purple. It's sort of like this trinity of beauty. My favorite sport is baseball, because it's slow and there's time to talk and get snacks without missing a whole lot. Also, I played softball for 10 years. I was a catcher. Oh, my favorite movie is The Princess Bride. Duh. My favorite holiday, okay, well, my favorite holy day is the Immaculate Conception, because it's for Mary. And then my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving, because you get to spend time with friends and eat lots of food. Also, honey, Leslie and I have decided that when we both get married, that our families have to be best friends, just like we are. But we figured, and as part of that, we're going to spend a holiday together every year, but we sort of figured that most of the bigger holidays would be taken up by, like, blood relatives, you know? So after a lot of prayer and thought and consideration, we have decided that the holiday that our families will spend together every year into perpetuity is Arbor Day. Because it's right at late April, and it's the perfect time for a barbecue, and it satisfies my California hunger for trees and fresh air. So I really hope you like nature, and barbecues, and Leslie, and whoever Leslie ends up marrying. Right, off track. Okay. Between sunrise and sunset, I'm always for sunrise, because you gotta earn it. Dear future husband, the journey of my vocation in a nutshell. Here it goes. You know, I came back to the church freshman year of college, and ever since then I just sort of assumed that I was going to be a nun, because I knew that no matter what it took, I would do anything to become this thing that I'd heard of called a Christian. You know, there's that quote from Gandhi where he says, "I like your Christ, but I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are nothing like your Christ." And sometimes I wonder, would Gandhi like me? You know, like, I'm the only gospel that somebody ever reads. actually know who Jesus is. And I figured this name was just like the founder of the order that I was going to join, or the patron saint or something. And in senior year of college, I didn't even want to come back. You know, I felt so ready. I just wanted to go join some community or go be a missionary somewhere, but there was no community. And then one night, randomly, before Advent, I had this dream. Honey, I had a dream about you. And our first child, she was so beautiful. I mean, I don't know what you look like, but she looked just like you. And I heard her name, and it wasn't a name that I would ordinarily pick, but I liked it. And so in this dream, we were having a picnic. It was so biblical. We were in a field of wheat, okay? Like, field of wheat. And we were having a picnic, and you cooked all the food, obviously. And she was just running around on these, like, fat, chubby little toddler legs. And you were chasing her, and she was just like, la la la, dad, whatever. So I decided to ask God what was going on, right? Because girls who are going to become nuns don't generally have dreams like this, I don't think. So on Christmas Eve, I made a holy hour, which is this Catholic thing where you spend an hour praying in front of Jesus in a church. And so on Christmas Eve, I was in my home parish in California. It was early in the morning. I was the only one there. And so I decided that for this hour of prayer, my soul was a pew, which I think is a pretty normal thing for a Catholic soul to look like, if it was going to look like anything, right? So my soul was a pew. And if God really wanted me to be a nun, he would write me a note, right? Like a little boy, like one of those, like, will you be my nun forever? Check yes or no. And so I waited for an hour, looking at my pew. And there was no note. The pew was empty. And then I heard God say, you are the salt of the earth. And I was like, thank you. I'm reminded of that every time I cough. And he said, no, Kathleen, you're not listening. I'm talking about Matthew 5. You are the light of the world. And you don't take a lamp and put it under a bushel basket, whatever that is. You take a lamp, you put it on a table, and it gives light to the whole house. Give light to my house, Kathleen. Let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. I wasn't looking for a convent at all. I was looking for a bushel basket. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I'm not joining any convent anytime soon, am I? You know, I'm glad I brought them, my letters. I'm glad I shared them with you. I'm glad you're here. You know, and if the day ever comes where he's here and I'm no longer here, you'll have this record But this time, when I was young and pretty and healthy, because I am, all things considered, I am healthy. But if that doesn't happen, and I do get to marry Jesus after all, then you're my record. You know, I wrote this whole show for him before I even met him. And I wonder sometimes if he's somewhere like writing songs or like making me sketches, and then on our wedding day we can just trade. But it's not about him, really, the show. And it's not about CF. And it's not even about me. This show, like all the art I have ever or will ever make, is about that whisper that called me to make it. And if you're not religious or spiritual, but you're an artist, or you have a passion for something, you know what I'm talking about, the whisper. It's the same one that says, make art. If you're like me, you talk back, right? You're like, are you sure? There's not a lot of money in that. But you know the whisper won't let up until you listen. And I guess right now, the whisper is ultimately asking me to risk everything I have to love and to serve God with everything that I am, whoever I end up becoming. And this little show, or even singing in public, compared to all that, is no risk at all, really. I mean, this little show is nothing but rehearsal.